In the history of sports, many coliseums have come and gone.
Who can find their way by attacking?
Today in Bristol,
it's supposed to be hard.
The last great one remains.
Goes around and we attack.
Here for the last 60 years, we've seen short tempers on this short track.
Oh, man.
This is where legends are made.
There was way more to it than just hammer down, go as fast as you can go.
It's what we're talking about right now on Around the Track.
Bristol Motor Speedway may rest between two states, but it's one big menace for drivers. Welcome into this week's edition of Around the Track. I'm Gabe McDonald. We've got an absolute stacked show for you as we bring in one of the best drivers in the entire world. Hendrick Motorsports' Kyle Larson sits down with me in Garage Confidential. Plus, I'm going to take you behind the scenes at the fastest growing team in the Cup Series, Michael Jordan's 2311, to show you how one man keeps all the athletes in elite shape. And speaking of elite, Mamba Smith is here too to break it all down. But let's go ahead and drop the green flag out in Thunder Valley. Bristol has many names, including the last great Coliseum. Why? Well, it's a small track that brings a big fight feel to fans. Drivers will take to these high banks looking for the most grip that they can get. It'll be there early, but as the race goes on, it'll be a fight to find it, even with the PJ1 on the bottom of the track. Pit times here are critical as always. One bad stop, and you could be down 3, maybe even 4 laps off the leader. And if you're looking for fireworks, well, you'll get them here in the form of bumper-to-bumper pushes. 54 lead changes in this very race just last year. Short tracks this season have had some drivers at each other's throats. Cooler heads will prevail here, though. Staying clean will get you into victory lane.
Big guessing game is the tires. You know, we went there last spring and the tires didn't hold up very well. The dynamics of the race shifted fairly drastically. And then we came back in the fall and the tires didn't wear at all. And that was another shift to the dynamics of the race. So trying to understand which one of those is going to be the case is probably the biggest question mark.
I like Bristol. I think that's number one. I enjoy going up there. I think Alan had a really good grasp on that track really before I got there, to work with him. And I think just over time we have developed a solid base of kind of the feel that I want and the feel that he knows that I need and want in the car.
Go ahead and look at some of the track trends for drivers here at Bristol. NASCAR's hottest driver right now, Denny Hamlin, is the spring race's defending champion. Hamlin has finished in the top 5 in 11 of the last 14 short track races. It'll make his 400th consecutive start this weekend. Speaking of Hamlin, the team he drives for, Joe Gibbs Racing, has led 957 laps raced at Bristol with the next-gen car. It's an insane 48% since the beginning of the 2022 season. Kyle Busch has 8 Cup wins at Bristol in his storied career. That ranks 5th all-time there. However, the RCR driver has finished 20th or worse in each of the last 5 Bristol races. Short tracks are also good for Trackhouse's Ross Chastain. He has top 10s in 3 of the last 4 races on any type, but at short tracks, top 10s in every one so far in 2025. So let's bring in a guy who's one of the most connected people in all of motorsports. You see him at every track. You hear him on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour, and you see him in the pits as well. And now he is back here on Around the Track. It's Mamba Smith. Mamba, my guy, what a season we've had so far this year.
Gabe, it's great to see you. Great to be back on Around the Track. Yeah. It's been a minute. Look, the racing has been amazing. Yeah. We've seen places like Vegas putting up huge lead changes. We've seen short tracks, people getting mad at each other. I'm here for it all, baby.
Yeah, it's been some great action so far. And at Bristol, you have tight quarters, but also high tension as well. Bristol is really a favorite track for a lot of fans, also drivers as well. So why is this track really such a favorite, and what do you expect to see this weekend in the last week Coliseum?
Yeah, I think it just reminds you of old school short track racing. The beating, the banging, people getting mad. That's my favorite part. Yeah. When the drivers get mad, it's so exciting. But also, it's a difficult one. You talked about pit road earlier. Well, we pit on the front stretch and the back stretch. Yeah. And when it's under green flag conditions, it's different than when under caution. And we've seen pit road has been really tough for a lot of people, can devastate your race. So staying locked in on pit road is going to be really important.
Absolutely. We saw it definitely play a big part in Denny Hamlin getting the win last week at Darlington. Right. It's safe to say that he is back. 2 wins in a row, looking to become the second driver this year and on his own team to possibly win 3 in a row. The 11 team really clicking on all cylinders, and it's really not just because of the guy behind the wheel. It's a whole team effort.
Yeah, no, I think there was a lot of questions, right, with Chris Gale as new crew chief. Like, how are they going to make this all work, right? He's really the only piece that changed with Gabe Hart moving into a more of a leadership role over the whole company. So, but it didn't take long, right? It only took a few races. They found victory lane, and then they found it again. Now, Darlington, did they steal it? No, the pit crew got that win for them.
Right.
But they put themselves in a position to win. So now they're going back to a place that Denny's really strong at, the company's really strong at. You gotta look for number 11 up front.
Like they say, 11 against the world. And if Denny can pull it off, he'll be the third oldest driver to win 3 consecutive races, oldest since Harry Grant back in 1991. Not bad for a 44-year-old. Now, we've talked too much about tires as of late. It's true. We saw the tire wear last year at an insane rate. But NASCAR really expects things to be a little bit more normal this weekend. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree, because so what happened was last year, this was the start of the evolution of this softer tire. We got this softer tire, and if you ask Kevin Harvick, this was the best race of the year for him last year because the tire wear happened so quickly. So you really had to figure out what you're going to do, similar to when you were short track racing as a young buck trying to cut your teeth and make your way up. So we saw a lot of that, a lot of tire failures, but we realized that a softer tire was better for these cars. So now we've evolved that a little bit. So we should be in a better situation. And then you talked about it earlier, Gabe, the PGA one on the bottom. They were starting that at the beginning of the weekend so that everyone will race through it. By the time the Cup cars are racing, it should be a little different. We should see a good race.
Yeah, 54 lead changes last year. Certainly, a lot of good action there at Bristol. And of course, we got another big debut to talk about. We've seen a lot this year. Look at guys like Connor Zilisch, but this time you're going to see a guy that you can see on the CW every week in the Xfinity Series. Jesse Love, he's going to be behind the wheel of a Cup car up in Thunder Valley, locked into the playoffs already this year in the Xfinity Series. But the 20-year-old RCR driver now gets to show us what he can do in the 33 car. Mamba, what can we expect from one of the rising stars in the sport?
I expect him to complete all the laps and have a clean race. I think that should be the goal for him. RCR, they don't typically run a third car, and so that's a lot of extra work, and you know what I mean? So they're not used to doing that. It's not like they're lights out like Hendrick, right? So, but for him to get this experience now, you obviously see where he's headed. He's trying to get to the Cup Series, so it'll be big for him. Congratulations to Jesse. Big moment for his career.
And we've had some well-dressed gentlemen come on the show.
Well,
we've had guys like Jordan Bianchi, even Alan Cavana.
Yeah, they
I
do
gotta
all
know
right.
about the jacket here. It's a la NFL Hall of Fame with the gold jacket.
Yeah, gold jacket will, show it off a little bit. Listen, you can't say that you're the best dressed in the garage and not show up for your show and be like this. So, we try to bring some flair. Ask Kyle Larson, he knows about it.
Yeah, that's what we do. Coming correct as always. Mama's going to stick around, but we got to bring in one of his friends to keep the party going right here on ATT.
You're always trying to make yourself a better race car driver, and to me, with that, you have to push yourself outside normal boundaries.
Kyle Larson is going for history once again. Arguably the best driver on the planet is set to attempt the Memorial Day double for a second time. We got Young Money and Garage Confidential to talk about it coming up next. And there are more eyes on the Xfinity Series now than ever before, but with more attention comes more scrutiny. One legend of our sport is sounding off on it coming up. And don't act like Mamba and I aren't elite athletes. Well, maybe not so much anymore, but the drivers and pit crew over at 2311 may have an unfair advantage thanks to the Jumpman's athletic trainers. We'll take you behind the scenes when Around the Track returns. Back here on Around the Track, and the action has never been hotter in NASCAR's Xfinity Series, but not everybody is happy about races have played out so far. We had the incident 2 weeks ago in Martinsville with Sammy Smith and Taylor Gray that set off a number of the sport's veterans. Austin Hill's early wreck in Daytona was also frowned upon, and then you also have Kyle Larson, who probably should have swept all the races at Homestead, Miami. He got pushed aside in his final laps by Sam Mayer. Denny Hamlin sounded off in the series before getting in his car. Take a listen.
The Xfinity Series is primarily made of paid drivers. Without paid drivers, I don't know that series truthfully exists. So it's just that's reality. It's not popular, and no one here will like it, but that's just the reality.
Back here with Mamba Smith. And Mamba, you're around these guys a lot. What do the drivers really say about, the series and how it's played out so far? I know you've talked about it a lot on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour. What really, gives, what kind of has made the series, what it is so far at this point?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic because there was a point where we decided, okay, the Cup guys are winning too much. They're stealing championships away. They're doing all this, and we wanted to pull them out a little bit. So now they have a limit to how many races they can race in Xfinity and truck. Well, 10, 15 years later, now there's no veteran presence. And when the guys are racing, when you're racing against a Kyle Busch, a Ryan Blaney, a Joey Logano, you don't want to embarrass yourself against them. Sure. And when they get out of their car and come over to you and you beat them and they're like, hey, man, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job, young buck. That's huge for a driver's confidence in showing them how to do it the right way. I personally feel like if you have more Cup guys back in there or more vets and you know, because it's Justin Allgaier, he's kind of in that series by himself. Yeah, you look at the Truck Series, it's Daniel Hemrick, Matt Crafton, they're kind of in there by themselves. Like, we need a little bit more veteran presence to really hold these guys accountable. I think that's the biggest thing, accountability.
Certainly will be interesting to see how it plays out over the rest of the season. Now, Mamba, when you think of incredible feats in motorsports, what's one of the first ones that comes to mind?
Man, if you can pull off the double, the Brickyard going to Indy 500 and then coming to the 600, the Coke 600. If you can do that, that's really the top of my list.
Yeah, definitely an incredible feat. And Kyle Larson is running it back for a second time, looking to become just the second driver to ever complete all 1,100 miles. I got to sit down with him in this week's Garage Confidential. Been to a short track already, a place like Martinsville. You got Bristol coming up. Last year in the spring, we saw a tire fall off like we hadn't seen, a record-setting amount of lead changes as a driver. Do you like that kind of race when it plays out like that on the track?
Yeah, I mean, I selfishly, I like the normal Bristol, where it's kind of fast-paced the whole time and you're pushing really hard the whole time. But I didn't hate it either. It was just a little bit too extreme, I felt like. You know, we were all, running maybe 50%. So that part of it I didn't really love, But it was exciting, for the fan, and we had that. NASCAR let that last run play out, so that made it exciting, I thought. And then you had more kind of comers and goers and strategy taking place. So I don't think we're going to get that style of race this time. I think NASCAR is going back with the PJ1 style stuff on the bottom, so it should kind of eliminate that.
Then you go in there in the fall, you dominate, leading over 400 laps. What's that like, being behind the wheel, knowing that, you're the best car on the track that day, and you're able to set a record, with leading that amount of laps and getting into the victory lane too? Yeah,
that was awesome. To lead that many laps, though, it takes a fast car and it takes really good pit stops and just, all your normal things of executing. But yeah, it was great to be leading that many laps and then not have any cautions come out at the end to throw a curveball in the strategy. So, yeah, I hope going there, it could be a day like that, but it's rare that you get, days to go exactly how you need it.
Debut in the paint schemes for the double. First off, last year, I know it's tough. Didn't get behind the wheel of the Cup car that Sunday. Just as a driver, what went into the decision to do it again? I'm sure it didn't take too long for you to come to the decision like, hey, I want to get out there again and really try to get it done this time around.
Yeah, well, I wanted to do it again because I didn't really get to do it fully, last year. I didn't get to complete, I didn't get to attempt, the 600. So, yeah, it's a challenging day, and I like to challenge myself. So, yeah, I want to try and do both races.
And you're a guy that's accomplished so much. I mean, you've recently reached the 30-win club in the Cup Series. You have a championship already. What is it that really fuels you to continue to challenge yourself at this point in your career?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, just the challenges. I think you're always trying to make yourself a better race car driver, and to me, with that, you have to push yourself outside normal boundaries. And for me, learning a new style car last year was really fun, but I also pop in a lot of different types of cars throughout the year, and I feel like when I do that, I don't get just so zoned in on learning one style, and I feel like that allows me to broaden my abilities, and I've done that my whole career. Right. So I think that's been one of my advantages, and we'll continue to do that. And also, being with great team owners and great crew chiefs it helps me get better and be successful.
And for those that don't know, you sometimes have, maybe an 1,100-mile road trip with the family. You're not going that fast. What's the preparation like, though, as a driver, being able to get ready for a treacherous day, even dealing with the back-and-forth travel that you have to go through, too?
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of back-and-forth travel, which is nice. Really, I spend most of the time in Indy. But, preparing for the Sunday of 1,100 miles, I think, is important. So I didn't get to do it last year, but I felt fresh after the Indy 500, which was good. So I felt like I did a good job with my health and nutrition and hydration, and so I don't think I would change anything on that. And yeah, just hopefully I get to actually put my body through that test. So because I work hard at it, and I want to see if I can do it.
Thanks again to Kyle for the time. Yep, that is Mr. Joey Logano you see right there with what we think is a bazooka. Now, don't worry, drivers. He left it where it was. You're not going to see it on the track. But what had the Cup Series champ donning military gear? You'll find out next on Around the Track.
Welcome to NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Start your engine!
NASCAR Xfinity Series, Saturday. Check your local listings.
An annual NASCAR tradition is off and running. Mission 600 is a 2-month-long tribute to those who serve our great country. The Cup Series champion Joey Logano kicked things off by visiting Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. Lejeune took part in drills with the 2nd Combat Engineer Battalion, then did what Joey does best, get behind the wheel of some heavy machinery, a combat tractor to be exact. Then he drove a military-grade bulldozer. Why? Well, because he's Joey Logano. You can call him G.I. Joe, basically. For Joey, the visit is more than a cool experience. It's giving back to those who give so much for us.
There's similarities in some ways, but there's also none when it comes to what the military is doing compared to doing motorsports. Right? I mean, I think, you know, the team aspect is something that maybe we can compare with, but they're fighting life or death out here, right? And not just for, you know, our fans, which is important, but when you're fighting for your country, that's a different level. And to me, like, they're putting their lives on the line for strangers, people they've never met before. And how grateful we all should be to be living in a country like this, that we have people like this that are willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice.
Just like any other sport, there's a team behind the team on the track that keeps them in tip-top shape. Believe it or not, March was Athletic Trainers Month, and the man who's in charge of that department at 2311 Racing is pioneering a new road in NASCAR. I got to meet him at Michael Jordan's Airspeed. Just off I-77 before you get to Huntersville, you'll find a state-of-the-art racing facility. Meanwhile, inside,
I just do a little soft tissue work in.
You'll find an athletic trainer at the top of his game, helping everyone in the building stay at the top of theirs.
We have a lot of guys that come in from big D1 schools that are here, and they come in and they see CJ, and the first thing they tell you is, you know, that's the best treatment I've ever had.
Through Atrium Health, CJ Walker joined 2311 Racing as the team's athletic training coordinator in March of 2024. A chance for the Gastonia native to be around the sport he grew up watching after stints at major schools like LSU and Georgia.
I've been blessed where I've been with the energy around those programs, and I think just kind of brought my game up that much more, just being around that energy. Flash forward 10 years later, I never really saw it anywhere posting, and this thought pop up, and it's like, oh, I got to go for this. It's a chance to come home, work a sport I've loved since I was a kid, and I couldn't have been happier with the move so far. Okay, so relax first.
When it comes to Walker's work at Airspeed, he focuses more on the prehab aspect of athletic training, limiting issues before they happen. Of course, working in a new sport presents new challenges as well, but it also provides Walker the opportunity to form new bonds with everyone at 2311.
Our relationship's pretty much gotten to the point where I can walk in the office and I just look at it, I don't even have to say a word. I can walk in the office and look at him in the eyes, and he just knows, like, oh boy, what happened now?
However, in life, some things come unexpectedly.
I think the car is okay. I'm just really fighting it right now in here.
Like the stomach bug Tyler Reddick caught before the 2024 Southern 500 that he had to battle through to win the regular season championship.
Losing fluids, whether it's out the front or out the back, it's just not a fun experience. So I was very thankful to have the help I did from CJ and everyone on the team to kind of guide me through that.
While Walker can't do much during a typical race, that day he made a big difference. And it's all thanks to the trust and the belief that the athletes have in him and his work.
I'm a relationship first. Obviously, I think I'm pretty good at what I do with my manual skills and management of injuries, but if the athlete doesn't believe in you, you're never going to get the outcomes you want.
A key player in 2311's effort to continue to be innovative and set the standard in NASCAR. Denny burned it down in Darlington. Can he make history with the win in Bristol this weekend? The odds and who we think will win is next, right here on Around the Track. Well, it's no surprise here. Denny Hamlin is your odds-on favorite going into the Cup race at Bristol. He's at 4-1 to take the checkered flag, but very closely placed behind him is Kyle Larson at 4.5-1. Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell both have 6.5 to 1 odds to get it done. And Chase Elliott still trying to find his form in 2025. He's 8.5 to 1 to round out the top 5 odds getters. Now that we have the odds, let's make our picks. Mamba and I have the same pick. Mamba, who are we going with this weekend?
We got Denny Hamlin. That guy has been money at Bristol. Typically, my picks don't go that well. If you ever watch the Kevin Harvick Happy Hour podcast, my picks usually don't finish the race. So hopefully this is going to flip that and he can get this done.
Well, now that you're on around the track and making a pick, I think it's going to work out for us. So we'll see if Denny Hamlin can get it done at Bristol. For Mamba Smith, I'm Gabe McDonald. Thanks for tuning in to Around the Track. Enjoy the race at the last great Coliseum.